3 months passed since Christina Lewinsky began to search for her Muslim mother in Mumbai, India. With the help of the 3 Christian brothers and other new volunteers in the church, she searched in many areas in Mumbai, but did not find her mother. Some believers told her that her mother was either died or moved to another place. Christina determined not to give up her search unless she would either find her mother or find proof that she died or moved to another city or country. Meanwhile, Sister Christina was engaged to Brother Bruno. Their marriage was scheduled to take place after 1 month from the day they got engaged to each other. She was not in the least attracted to her fiancé. For her, it was just another Indian arranged marriage. The only difference between her previous arranged marriage with Rahul Patel and this one, the former was forced on her and this was clothed with the attire of divine prophecy. Although, she wasn't interested in marrying Brother Bruno, still the 2 prophecies she received from those 2 self-appointed prophets led her to believe that it was the will of God for her to marry him. Even Brother Bruno claimed to have seen a vision in his dream that confirmed the will of God for the 2 of them. He testified in a Sunday service in front of the entire congregation that the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said to him, "Bruno, Bruno, verily, verily I say unto thee, I have chosen Christina Lewinsky as a mate and suitable helper for you." Sister Christina, being a novice believer and still childlike girl, believed full-heartedly that Brother Bruno was the will of God for her. Nonetheless, in her heart she was still cherishing her pure and genuine love for Michael Lewinsky. She had never told anyone about her love for the American boy nor revealed to anybody her past relations with those 3 evil men. She decided to start anew with Brother Bruno. In the meantime, Sister Christina received crucial information regarding her mother from a reliable source. The information was presented by a Christian female police inspector who was a member of the CID, Department of the Mumbai Police. This female inspector found her inquiry and noted the travel history of the missing person. She traced one Rehana Khan who had travelled many years ago to Jeddah city along with her little daughter, Ifat Khan. This same woman returned to Mumbai after spending 3 years in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Further investigations revealed that the same woman emigrated to the United States of America with her husband Jamal Khan and her son, Irfan Khan. After spending many years in the USA, the woman returned to India along with her 3 sons, 2 of them being born overseas. The only contradiction in the inspector's information, the woman in question had travelled to Saudi Arabia along with her little daughter, Ifat Khan, but returned to India with her son, Irfan Khan. Even the female inspector admitted that she could not solve that mystery. No one in the church was prepared to believe such an incredible story. The people of the church along with their pastors and other leaders found it difficult to believe that an Indian woman would return from the USA after living in that promised land for many years and most probably after obtaining the green card and likely the American citizenship too. Only a Muslim terrorist who might travel to Syria or Iraq to join ISIS, or a notorious criminal who might be deported against his or her wish would do such foolish thing. For them, if the mother of Sister Christina had truly returned from the paradise of the promised land to the hellish life of India, then she was either mentally challenged when she took such step or for some reason she lost her senses at the time of making that foolish decision. Nevertheless, Sister Christina was the only one who believed the woman that the female police inspector was talking about was none other than her own biological mother. She was able to connect the dots and understood why her mother took the so-called foolish decision and left America and returned to India. She remembered that she was accused by her Hindu mother of being married to her stepfather and hence putting her in an incestuous relationship. Emotions came to a boil and she wept tears realizing her mother's sacrifice for her under the circumstances. In actual fact, she understood that her mother did not only sacrifice her life partner, but she did not want to make her daughter a laughingstock and a public scandal among the Indian community and before the American law. The new discovery strengthened her resolve and made her to make vow to God that she would never stop searching for her Muslim mother. While the search for the mother was still on progress, the scheduled date for the wedding arrived. Accordingly, the search was temporarily postponed until the two got married. Brother Bruno was planning to take his beautiful bride to the golden beaches at Goa City, for enjoying their honeymoon. Sister Christina refused to travel to that city because it would remind her of her former Hindu husband, Rahul Patel. She was not willingly to give any excuse for her refusal. She simply told her new bridegroom that she was prepared to travel to any city in India, except Goa. Bruno's family was originally from a city called Mangalore. It was the chief port city of the state of Karnataka. It was located 350 kilometers away from the state capital, Bangalore. So, instead of Goa, Brother Bruno took his new bride to the city where he was born and brought up. It was the most boring trip that Sister Christina ever took in her life. Brother Bruno wasn't romantic and wasn't all that good in bed. Sex for him was not much different from food. He only cared about his own satisfaction. He just wanted to satisfy his sex drive and get rid of that urge. He did not know how to prepare his bride or to use anything to stimulate her clitoris and G-spot. When his bride talked to him about clitoral orgasm and G-spot orgasm, he said to her he had never heard about them. He even rebuked her when she talked to him about the many sex styles she read about in Kama Sutras. He said to her those books were written by Hindus and hence they were demonic techniques which meant to deviate Christian believers from their spiritual lives and make them focus on carnal pleasures. Soon, Sister Christina discovered that Brother Bruno wasn't a loving husband at all. Since they got together, he never told her, "I love you," or called her, "honey," "darling," or "sweetie." He just continued to address her as before, Sister Christina, as if she was his own sister. Besides that, as soon as they arrived in the Bangalore city he began to nag her about something, which really irritated her and made her extremely mad. He wanted her to take him to America as soon as they returned to Mumbai. Sister Christina told him that she would never think of returning to America until she would find her Muslim mother. Brother Bruno tried to convince Sister Christina to forget about her search because she would not likely to find her mother in Mumbai. One day, he tried to make her believe that her mother might have already dead and gone and therefore why they should waste their time in searching for a dead woman. One time, he shouted at her and told her, "Forget about your Muslim mother and think about our future and the future of our children." His constant harassing and nagging convinced her that he had married her just because he wanted to use her to reach America. She heard that some Indians married their aunties and uncles in order to reach America or Canada. When the newly wedded couple returned to Mumbai, they started to live in Brother Bruno's house. In actual fact, it was his parents' house. Indian custom required that the wife should live in her in-laws' house as joint family. Brother Bruno, besides his father and mother, had 3 unmarried sisters and 3 single brothers. According to the Indian custom, when the wife was brought by her husband to his extended family, she was expected to serve her in-laws. In-laws weren't restricted to her father-in-law and mother-in-law, but included her brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. So, the custom required that Sister Christina had to cook food to feed 9 mouths and wash all their clothes. Unfortunately, Sister Christina's 6 brothers and sisters-in-laws were either students or employees. Her father-in-law was still working. Her husband returned to his work as soon as they came back from their 5 days honeymoon. The only person who was available all the time with her was her mother-in-law. In India, it was shameful if the daughter-in-law asked her mother-in-law to help her with the housework. Even if she wasn't used to the Indian way of life, like Sister Christina, who spent most of her life overseas, was disgraceful if she dared to ask her husband's mother to help her with the housework. In next to no time, Sister Christina understood that by marrying Brother Bruno she opened the Pandora's box and unleashed all kinds of abuses and evils. In short period, she was reduced to a status lower than a maidservant. Every maidservant in India was getting paid for her service, but Sister Christina was an unpaid slave. She had to get up early in the morning and cook and prepare the breakfast for everyone in that extended family. She had to do the cleaning and washing plus cooking the food. She had to cook the lunch for every member of the joint family and pack it in 8 tiffin containers. She had to wash the clothes of all members of the family. She had no washing machine, but she had to use her bare hands to wash the clothes plus other linens such as aprons, towels, bed linens, blankets, tablecloths, chair covers, etc. What bothered her so much was that she had to wash the clothes of her father-in-law and brother-in-laws, including washing their underwear. She had to crawl on her knees and hands, while she was sweeping the floors of 5 rooms and 1 living room. Every day, without fail, she had to massage the body of her mother-in-law, who was behaving like the devil-in-law towards her daughter-in-law. She was constantly harassing, rebuking, scolding, and abusing her daughter-in-law through many more ways. The biggest fault she found in her daughter-in-law was that she had no parents to pay dowry to her husband. In the Third World, Indian society is the only society that requires the bride's parents to pay the bridegroom a dowry. That devil-in-law was using the question of dowry as a powerful tool of torture to abuse her daughter-in-law. Sister Christina could pay huge dowry and hire 10 maidservants and live as a queen, but she did not want to tell her husband and his family that she had millions of dollars. She did not want to leave India and return to America without her mother. She did not want her American lover, Michael Lewinsky, to know that she had broken her celibacy vow and married an Indian Christian man who turned her life into hell. After living for a few months in that abusive joint household, Sister Christina understood that she took a wrong step by marrying Brother Bruno. She concluded that it wasn't the will of God for her to marry such a self-seeking man. By showing blind eye to her daily sufferings, he just wanted her to hate the life in India and take him to America. Nonetheless, she determined not to return to America no matter what would happen between him and her. Brother Bruno changed his nagging and harassing policy and started to blackmail his wife. He told her openly that he married her because he wanted to emigrate to the United States of America and live together with her and their future children in a better life. Sister Christina made it very clear to him that she was not going to return to the States unless she would either find her mother or determine her mother's fate. When he understood that his wife's mother came in between him and his dream, Brother Bruno challenged Sister Christina on her mother's love towards her. He told her that the whole church came to know through the Christian female police inspector of the Mumbai CID, that her mother had given her in marriage to a 70-year-old Saudi man when she was a 7-year-old child. She lived with him for 10 years before she returned to India. Sister Christina tried to explain the misunderstanding in her childhood's abuse, but her husband cut her and continues to challenge her. Then, he confronted her with her hidden past life after her return to Mumbai. He told her that everybody knew that she had worked briefly as a film actress at Bollywood, but her career ended into a stinking public scandal. They knew that she had had an affair with an old film director who secretly married her and made her his kept wife and hid her in his farmhouse until the police exposed the secret affair. Then she was jailed in the Mumbai Arthur Road jail for practicing prostitution involving film directors, wealthy men, and politicians, and for being a high-profile prostitute. She had incurred the disgraceful title of the Bollywood waif, or Bollywood hooker. After exposing her past life, Brother Bruno told his wife that despite her disgraceful past he was ready to forgive her if she would compromise about her mother's issue and take him to America as soon as possible. Sister Christina had never cried or become so angry in her life before. She tried to correct the falsehoods and twisted details in his version of the story, but he refused to believe her. The matter became worse when his mother and sisters joined the quarrel and took the side of her husband. Then, their quarrel resulted in serious confrontation and accusation until she left her in-laws' house and went to the house of the senior pastor of the church. Sister Christina told the pastor and his wife what had happened between her husband and her. She said she wanted to end her marriage with him. The pastor and his wife told her that as a Christian she would not able to divorce her husband unless marital unfaithfulness involved. Sister Christina narrated all the sufferings and abuses she was going through in that extended family and hence demanded divorce on those grounds. She was told that all those grounds were not sufficient reasons to end up a Christian marriage. The sole reason for getting divorce was marital infidelity, and that only if she could prove there was such thing in her marriage. Nevertheless, Sister Christina stood her ground and demanded an end to her abusive marriage life. The pastor and his wife told her that they would call leaders' meeting and bring both of them and try to either reconcile them or find another solution to their problem. When the leaders' meeting was held in the main pastor's house and Brother Bruno attended it, Sister Christina insisted on leaving him because she came to know that he married her for only one reason, to reach America. The church leaders, collectively told her that she could not divorce him no matter what he had done to her except if he had committed adultery with another woman. Even if he would have to abuse her physically through wife-beating, she would not have scriptural basis to divorce her Christian husband. On that basis, she could only separate herself from her husband and remain unmarried. Finally, the church leaders somehow convinced both husband and wife to compromise in their conditions and work towards marriage healing and reconciliation. Brother Bruno was persuaded to apologize to his wife and give her 6 months' time to continue her search for her mother. Sister Christina was rebuked for hiding her past life from her husband. Then, she was asked to seek God's forgiveness and her husband's pardon for building a marriage life on lies and hidden past. Moreover, she was convinced to take her husband to America after 6 months whether she found her mother or not. The church leaders also convinced Brother Bruno to leave his father and mother, rent an apartment, move out of his parents' house, and live separately with his wife. Finally, Sister Christina was harshly rebuked and corrected for thinking to divorce her husband because that wasn't biblical, for what therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.